Okay, today we have the Boss DB90 Metronome. We're going to go through a few things here to show a person how to use this without going through the infinite wisdom of the manual, because those of us who don't like to read like pictures and videos better. So, first thing we're going to show you how to do is how to power the unit up and have the light remaining on. Let's say you're playing in an atmosphere where it's really dark and it's hard to see. The light button here will only turn on for 5 seconds by default, but if you want to stay on all the time, you simply have to just power up the unit and say light and power, and the light will stay on the full time. Now, the next little trick here is how to program up the memory. Say you want to just put in your full set list, so you have song 1, song 2, and they're all at different tempos, and you want to avoid the fear of starting a song and saying, oh my goodness, I don't know what speed this thing is at, when you have kind of that brain fart. So what we're going to do here is, the first thing I like to do is I like to set the tempo of the song. So the next song I'm going to be working on here is a tempo of 80, so I'm going to hit the tempo, spin the dial here to 80. Once I get that dialed in, the next thing I'm going to set is the beat and pattern style. I'll simply hit the beat button here. And the difference between beat and pattern is beat is basically the time signature, where pattern is a drum style. So let's say you didn't have a drummer and you want to play along with the metronome, but you still wanted to have the metronome to make pseudo drum sounds. Since I'm a drummer, I don't necessarily need to do that, so I'm going to focus on the beat section. I'm going to set the beat here to basically this is how many beats per bar, and I'm going to set it over here to 4/4, because that's typically the rock and roll kind of pattern that we play in nowadays. And so I set it to 4/4. I'm going to go ahead and start it now. And we'll notice that I have accent notes here. The accent occurs on the 1. We have quarter notes, and I can turn those down at a different level if I want, or turn them back up. I have a tendency just to want to hear where the quarter note's at. Some people want to hear both quarter notes and eighth notes. So anyway, I'll get that sounding the way I want it to sound. I'll then hit the voice button. Now, different people like different voices. Currently it's set to voice number 1. I'm going to change the voice here. Click voice once it blinks. That means it's ready to be changed. It's got 4 different voices in the DB90. The second one is the clave sound. The third one's more of a digital sound. And the fourth one's actually a vocal count.
1, 2, 3.
Now that would probably drive me crazy, so I'm going to turn mine back to number 2, the clave sound. I feel that cuts through pretty well on my headphones. So I have everything set to the sound I want, the time signature I want. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop now. And now I'm going to save this to memory by simply clicking on the memory button, picking the memory I want. So this is my 3rd song, so I'm going to dial this to number 3. And we'll notice when I switched it to number 3 that it switched to the tempo and all the settings from the previous number 3. So once again I have to reset this, but this is good. I can show you how to do it a second time. So what I'll do, like I did before, hit the tempo button, set tempo to 80, or whatever your tempo is. Beat and pattern, I'm going to set it to 4/4 time. So we got 4-4. And then for the voice, I'm going to set the voice to 2, because that's the clave sound I like. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play it once just to listen to it. We'll notice that it selected the default volume from the previous setting, so I have to simply move this up, move it down if I want to kill those sounds. So here we are, back to the quarter notes, accent on 1. That works great for me. I hit stop. Now I'm going to save it to memory. I'm just going to hit memory, and then I hit write once. It's blinking, and I hit write a second time, fast blink, and save. Alright, so the next step in the process is to recall those songs from memory. So let's say you've stored them a couple days ago, now you want to restore them. One important thing to remember on the DB90 is that the DB90 has an internal 9-volt battery. If for some reason you happen to lose that 9-volt battery, or it goes dead while you're storing these things, those settings may not be saved, so it's always a good idea to check this before the gig just to make sure. So anyway, let's say you get to the gig, you want to power up the DB90 and you want to leave the light on like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to hold the light button down, hit power. That'll power it back up. Then what I want to do is I want to recall those songs I put into memory. Well, notice now if we look at the DB90 in memory here, it says memory 4. That's probably the last one I programmed in, or right before I turned it off the last time what it was set on. But since I have my set list 1 through 5 or 1 through 10, I'm going to hit the memory button and I'm going to go to the very first song. So memory is what I just hit, and I'm going to spin back to number 1. So there we'll notice that number 1 is at 18. Probably what I would do from here on out then is I won't touch any other buttons on the DB90. I'm ready to play through the set, and I'll simply just let the memory light blink, play through song 1, then I'll spin it to song 2, play through song 2 by simply hitting start, and so on and so forth through song 3 through the rest of the set. And that's how you recall the memory in the DB90. Hope that helps. Bye-bye.